Okay, so the story for Resident Evil 6 is split up into 4 different campaigns. You have Leon S. Kennedy, you have Chris Redfield, you got a new character named Jake Muller, and you have Ada Wong's, which is only unlockable after you beat the first 3 campaigns that I just mentioned. Each campaign starts off with their own little story, but later on in each campaign you'll start to intertwine with other characters' campaigns, which I thought was really cool in the game. Now the overall story here is about a new umbrella company, Neo Umbrella, which releases a brand new virus called the virus in China, and pretty much the whole story here is you play as Leon S. Kennedy, Chris Redfield, and the new character Jake Muller, trying to find out how to stop this virus from this evil corporation called Neo Umbrella. It's pretty simple. We've seen this plot so many times in Resident Evil, let alone video games in general, but even though it's generic, I did very much enjoy the story here, and the reason why is because of all the action set pieces that go on, which there are tons of in each campaign. It's actually insane how much action goes on. And one other thing, which is always a plus for me, is likable characters. In each campaign besides Ada Wong's, you get a partner, and these partners always like to chit chat and say things and like build relationships with the main characters, and I would say I always enjoy that in video games, where they give you characters that you actually care about and they actually care about each other. Oh, that's cute. So overall, I think the story itself is pretty generic, but I like the characters, I like all the action set pieces, and I like the whole intertwining of each campaign. So there you go, there's a story. I liked it. Now let's talk about the sound, which the first thing I always talk about is the voice acting, and Resident Evil is known for having some pretty damn bad voice acting. It's famous for that, in fact. I am happy to say that the voice acting in Resident Evil 6 is great. All the voice actors do a damn fine job of portraying all of their characters. You have some popular voice actors like Roger Craig Smith, who was Ezio, of course, and he plays Chris Redfield in this game, and you have Laura Bailey, who plays numerous characters, and she plays Helena Harper, who is Leon S. Kennedy's new partner, and of course the rest of the voice actors do a damn good job as well. Now the sound design is well done and adds to both the action side and even the creepy side at times. I mean, it's not the scariest game at all, but at times it gets a little unsettling, and that's because of the sound design, which is very good in the game. And the soundtrack is all epic action movie orchestra, which really works for the game as well. So overall, I think the sound here is great and really adds to the experience. But now let's talk about the graphics, which Resident Evil 5 I felt was a beautiful looking game. Resident Evil 6 decides to say screw beautiful and makes the graphics dark, grim, and plain old disturbing. This works perfectly for a Resident Evil game because it makes the world feel unsettling. Environments are a mixture of destroyed buildings, streets, and dark sewers and caves. There are a couple of brightly lit areas, but not that many. The environments are well designed, textured, and varied. Character models for the human characters look great, especially the hair and weirdly the skin, which has a lot of detail. But what really takes the grotesque, gooey, and gross cake is the zombie models. The imagination that went into the designs for all of the creatures was very inspired, and I have to salute you, you insane creepy bastards that designed some of this stuff. So overall, I think the graphics for RE6 isn't as bright and vivid as RE5, but the change back to disturbing designs, environmental and character-wise, is a very welcome return. And now we get to the gameplay, which Resident Evil 6 of course splits its game up into 4 different campaigns. You got Leon S. Kennedy, you got Chris Redfield, you got Jake Muller, a new character, and you got Ada Wong when you finish the first 3 campaigns. Now each campaign has its own distinct feeling. Leon's campaign is more about the survival horror / puzzle roots of the first 4 games, which I really dug in the game. It starts off a little slow, but it gets much better later on. Chris's campaign is strictly run and gun, shoot everything that moves, hide under cover, Gears of War type action, which is okay for the game. Jake's campaign is like if you added Leon's campaign and Chris's campaign together and added a little dash of Uncharted, which actually works out very well. And Ada Wong's campaign, which I don't want to spoil too much of it, actually uses more stealth and gadgets, which I actually thought was a very nice touch. Now each of the campaigns have their slow moments, and mostly in the beginning of the game, but they definitely pick up in parts. There's a bunch of thrilling action scenes where you'll be using an airplane, you'll actually be controlling an airplane, you'll be jumping from boat to boat, you'll be shooting big Goliath monsters. It's actually very thrilling at times. And of course what makes all this go together and make it a very fun experience is the gunplay, which I know many people don't care for. I really dig it in this game. It feels very good to shoot a zombie, whether it looks like a freaking vagina monster or it just looks like a big turd. I don't know. Just shoot it. You shoot it and it feels good to watch it die and collect whatever it drops, like ammo or health or whatever. So there are haters of the gunplay. I think it actually works here, and sure, it makes it more of a action game than survival horror, but I think it really works. Now, a couple of new things in the gameplay is the inclusion of a cover system, like I said before, which is not very good in the game, but to be honest, it's not even close to as bad as Operation Raccoon City, which, oh my god, I hate that game, but it's not even close to as bad, and you don't even really need to use it for the majority of the game, which is good. A new system where you can actually duck and roll, which I thought was very entertaining. You can actually jump back, and while you're on the floor, you can start shooting zombies, which looks really epic, to be honest. And the addition of a skill system, which when you kill enemies, they drop a certain amount of points, and you go pick those points up, and when you're done with the campaign, a chapter or whatever, you can go and actually buy skills for each of the characters. You can go buy better firearm skills or better ammo pickups or whatever, and it's actually really cool and adds to the replay value of the game. And talking about replay value, I think this game is chock full of content. Each of the campaigns takes about 5 to 7 hours to complete, which I would say the math around that is about 25 hours for all the campaigns altogether. You have the return of the campaign co-op as well, so you can actually team up with a buddy, and it actually is a lot of fun in this game, just like Resident Evil 5. And you have the return of mercenaries, which of course you play as one of the main characters, and you just murder a bunch of zombies and try to get a high score, which is a lot of fun, as it always is. And a new mode that they added to this game, which I thought was really cool, is called Agent Hunt mode, which is a game mode where you can actually go into other players' games and pretty much screw with them and play as a zombie and try to kill them, which I think is really cool idea. I think it's a lot of fun, but I do think the controls really need to be polished because they are not that great. So overall, I think Resident Evil 6 is an action-packed thrill ride that has so much going for it, so much content. It is an extremely good time. And sure, there are problems with the game, like the campaigns can be slow at times, and the controls can be cumbersome, and the camera can be wonky, and that feeling of Resident Evil is pretty much almost all gone. But I think it completely works as an action game, and I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun, and don't listen to those Metacritic user scores because they are wrong. There you go, there's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and goodbye.